Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Tom. This is actually a very different style of video for this channel. There's been a lot of tutorials, but I have been talking about for the last 2 years getting out and doing more painting from life. So I recently moved to the unbelievably beautiful Pembrokeshire Coastline, which you can see behind me. And this is a fantastic opportunity to get out and do more plein air painting with watercolour. It's always a challenge. This is the first time I've done it in a long time, and it's the first time I've done it in watercolour in even longer. So let's see what we can find. So the Pembrokeshire Coastline is absolutely littered with beautiful beaches, from really rugged rocky ones with huge cliffs to much more kind of mellow sandy ones. We've got absolutely everything here, including wonderful wildlife. It's not a particularly sunny day, it's a bit overcast. However, I'm not going to let the weather dictate what we do, and actually sometimes painting an overcast scene can be a little bit easier. So let's kind of dive into this. So before we get to the destination, I'm just stopping very quickly at a marina, which is going to be a fantastic subject to come and paint another time, maybe when the light's slightly different. I love painting boats, love painting water, but I've come here actually to go to a storage unit of mine, which I need to do some stuff in. Why am I sharing this seemingly very boring bit of info before we get to the good stuff? Number one, I have a habit, especially as a professional artist, of putting kind of painting time and my creativity and painting on a bit of a pedestal, kind of waiting for the perfect moment when I've got some extended time in the studio. And particularly with life as it is, this very rarely happens. So what I'm trying to do is integrate my painting and sketching into kind of everyday life a little bit more. So for me, this is the start of that integration. And then secondly, again, especially as a professional artist, there can be a habit that we can fall into of forgetting to paint for fun and just for the pure joy of it, and just getting out and about and enjoying observing the world and recording it with our paintbrush or our pencil. And then today is kind of the start of me trying to do this a little bit more, and again, integrating it into my kind of day-to-day life a little bit more, I think will make me put it on less of a pedestal and just kind of be a bit more carefree with my attitude towards painting and sketching. So that's why I'm showing you this. It's also an amazing opportunity to look at the river, which kind of divides sort of mid and north Pembrokeshire from the south. And it's the big Cleddau Bridge that we're about to cross over now to our destination. Okay, so after winding through all of the amazing back roads with the Welsh signs, with all of those amazing Welsh words on there, thinking that we're in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by countryside, little glimpses of the sea, we eventually get to Stackpole Quay, and it is absolutely rammed with people. It's impossible to get a parking space. I've had to park up on the side of a bank here. So the challenge today is going to be to find somewhere to paint where I don't feel self-conscious with everyone watching me and lots of people around. So I'm going to pop down to the quay itself. We'll see how we do down there. Beautiful little harbour. The sun's actually just coming out. Not feeling as confident as I have done in the past because it's been a while. So let's see how we do. Alright guys, so despite the hundreds of people, it's only taken me 5 minutes to walk along and find an amazing little spot tucked away here. Fantastic views to the east, to a load of different beaches that way. We've also got the really famous to the west Barafundle Bay, which I might walk to in a bit. But I've got a fantastic little spot here. We've got some really great rocks with some nice recession. There is a bit of light going, although it's quite overcast, so I'm going to have to manufacture some light. But really, I'm just going to have some fun, have a play. And it's the first time I've picked up a brush in 2 weeks. And it's going to be the first time I've painted plein air for probably a year. And it's the first time I've done watercolour plein air in probably 2 years. So I'm just going to have some fun with it and see what we can get. So I think for me, when I'm faced with something like this, my hardest or biggest struggle is actually choosing which bit to paint. So there's not a huge amount of light today. Usually the light illuminating something can make for a good subject, but it's quite overcast. But what we do have are some really beautiful shapes in the rocks, and there's a little outcrop just in front of me that I think I'm going to make the focal point. So it's going to be more of an exploration of shapes and maybe an exploration of colour. And by now, if you know my videos, you know I like a bit of colour, so I might exaggerate the colour and the light a little bit, but I'm just going to slosh and paint around, see how we get on. Right guys, so that was a, I don't know, little 15-minute sketch, feeling incredibly rusty, very out of practice, but having a huge amount of fun. That was really an experiment with colour, getting back into shapes, enjoying using the brush, and just sitting here and soaking in the atmosphere and having fun with it. I'm actually going to stay in this spot, and I've just been sitting here for ages looking at this, and I guess your eye slowly tunes in and you get back into the painting head, painting mindset. And for me, this is a fantastic little potential subject. Not so much the people in the background, but what I'm loving is this little run of light across the top of the rocks there and the colour in the water. So I'm going to try and capture that pretty quickly here before the light changes. I think that's one of the big struggles painting outside, especially with watercolour, the light changing. But I want to capture the scene as quickly as possible. So what I'm finding here is that this is a much more interesting composition, because I'm not such a fan of big vistas as a painter. They're a great subject, but I'm not very good at painting them. I want to get better at them. But this is something that I'm more comfortable with. It's more of a study of interesting interlocking abstract shapes, and I can really get my teeth into the tonal values, and I'm enjoying this so far, just kind of blocking in the basic tones, get this blocked in down here. And then we can come in with the shadows and the darks and just kind of bring this together. Again, not taking it too seriously, just having fun with the shapes, fun with the pigment. So what I'm kind of getting back into here is when you're working from life, different from a photo, you have to do a huge amount of editing. Like there's so much going on here, and you kind of want to capture all of it and get it into the painting, but that's not really possible. I think the experience that you're having and the atmosphere and the mood can't help but go through your hand and into your work. But when it comes to actually the logical aspects of painting, you really have to home in on what it is that attracted you to the subject. It's all kind of coming back now, and what attracted me to this is the pool of water with the colour, the light hitting the rocks. Now I need to keep that in my mind as I paint. If I start trying to capture everything that's going on, adding little bits, losing track of what it is that I'm trying to achieve, what it is that I'm aiming for, the painting's going to become a mess. And if I start to render everything to the same level, it's going to become a mess. So I need to retain what it is that I found interesting, what it is that I want to capture, and always have that in my mind. It's kind of informing my decisions. Yeah, just a few little thoughts that are coming back to me that are slightly different from a painting, from working from a photo. So that's those two kind of little sketches or studies down, and aside from a few things I mentioned a minute ago, I think the other thing that always comes back is simplify, simplify, simplify all the time. When I'm looking at trying to capture the thing in the painting that I really want to capture, in this case the light hitting the rocks and the pool of water, by simplifying everything else, by kind of unifying areas, simplifying tonal values, maybe darkening a few to make the lights pop out, letting those washes flow together, looking for nice big simple shapes and not being afraid to tie them together. That seems to make a better painting. Like I said, these are little paintings. I'm not trying to create a masterpiece here. They're studies, they're kind of opportunities to get my eye in, to enjoy getting back into the paint. And they're not the best paintings I've ever done, but from the point of view of the experience that I've had, this has been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed it. And I'm gonna have a little potter about. love the play of abstract light and shadow, the light falling on the water, the abstract rock shapes. Fantastic in its own right. I'm not going to stop and paint, but just enjoying soaking it all in. But that's it, I think, guys. I've had a nice long walk. I didn't really find anything that inspired me to paint. Not so much because of the subjects available, but more because I feel like I just kind of scratched that itch with the first two paintings. And I feel like it's kind of broken the seal. It's got me back into getting outside and painting from life. It's reminded me of what a fantastic and wonderful experience it is doing so, especially somewhere like this, but wherever you go. It's just nice getting out and painting from life. It's reminded me how much you need to focus in and edit your subject to make a good painting. It's reminded me how much you have to observe, how much you actually have to be creative as well though with that observation, and keep in mind what it is that you're trying to achieve. Whether that be with the painting itself, or whether you've set out to create a finished painting, or whether you've set out with a view of just having an experience. And this is what it's reminded me of. This has reminded me that it is much, or as much, about the painting as it is about the experience as a whole. And I can't wait to get out and paint again on this coastline. It's not going to be long. I'll bring you guys along for the journey. So if that sounds like something that's going to interest you, please feel free to subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Happy painting, and I will catch you soon.